Freedom Camp.
We've always wanted our own lease, a place that we could come whenever we wanted. So once we got the place, me and JD discussed what we were gonna do. And he wanted to get me out here. This is my first time in Texas. I wanted to hunt with my fire team while I was out here. So I called Tillman up, told him, hey, we got this lease down in Texas. Hey, you wanna come out and hunt? He's never hunted before.
I'm Sergeant Stephen A. Tobit, and I was a 0331 machine gunner in the United States Marine Corps. This hunting trip came up for me when Coleman called me, and honestly, he asked if I wanted to, he was starting a business called Mohawk Outdoors, and he said he was going to get me on a hunt. And that was a year or two ago, I think, and then it just progressed until he called me a few months ago about this one. I signed up, jumped on it right away. The day that me and Coleman got blown up, it was Memorial Day of 2011, which was May 30th.
We were in Helmand, Afghanistan. The mission is earlier that day, another platoon had ran over an IED in the trucks. So our squad was going out later on that day just to talk to locals, see if we can collect any intel on, get any answers. So we left, and as we were walking out, I think the craziest thing about this day was as soon as Tillman and I left the wire, we were the only two that just had a really weird feeling in our stomachs. Just something didn't sit right. Couldn't tell what, but just kept going.
We were going on a routine patrol. I went up to the left of a building. Coleman's team went up to the right of the building.
So we keep pushing forward, and my team, we were holding security while the other team talked to locals. We go up to this compound. I set Tillman and another guy up onto the left. Me and Furman go to the right. Furman actually laid down on the IED with the 240, but there was a shed that wasn't cleared just to the right, and so I backed him off and put him in a better area or a better position with micro terrain, and I went up to go clear the shed. When I walked to that corner of the building, I ended up stepping on the IED, but it didn't go off. As I walked down the wall, I had to cross their garden, which there's no other way around, and it was all freshly tilled dirt. I'm not gonna lie, I was puckering a little bit because you kind of can't tell. So you just kind of pick a spot, 1, 2, 3, and go, 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 get across it. So I did that, cleared the shed, went up. I actually stepped on Tillman's IED, getting up on top of the shed. It didn't go off. I laid up on top, set up on a little bit of overwatch, and watched the bazaar. When I was up there, I got called by HUD's team saying that they were about to get ambushed by about 6 or 7 guys. So I hopped down, once again stepping on Tillman's IED a second time, and I was always told that if you step in the same footprints, you're fine. We busted that myth because I stepped in the same footprints all the way there through the garden and all the way down the wall. As I get down to the wall at the corner of the compound, Furman, probably about 4 or 5 feet away, I was explaining to him what we were doing. I'm telling him we're picking up and we're moving out. When I did that, I stopped and I grabbed a cigarette out of my pocket, went to light it. I was looking down, took a step, and then it felt like I got hit by a train. Next I remember, opened my eyes, there's dust and dirt everywhere. Kind of went up in the air a little bit, landed on my head and onto my face. And I was really confused. I couldn't hear anything but ringing. I'm looking around, look at my buddy. His face is pale white. Pretty sure he's got chunks of me and him on his face. And he's screaming, "Are you okay?" But I couldn't tell what he was saying. I didn't feel any pain. But once I figured out what was going on and what he said, I went to tell him I was good and let's go. I just started spitting up blood. So at that point, I knew it wasn't all that okay. So I roll over. Well, I try to push up and get up. Well, my left arm, it wouldn't move. It was giving out. you know. So I roll over on my back, and as I rolled over on my back, I stick my hand up under my flak, trying to feel, you know, check my hand for blood. There wasn't anything there. So I went to back thinking I was good, and I honestly thought that they threw an RPG at us and hit the wall, and it just really rocked me, was my initial thought, because they did that a few days beforehand. So when I rolled over and sat up, I didn't notice my left arm. It was all, you know, the size of a football, going all weird ways. And that's when I looked up and noticed my leg and kind of sitting in a hole, and then that's when it clicked that, okay, I stepped on an IED.
I had dysentery, so I was using the bathroom when I heard a loud pop. It didn't sound any bigger than a gunshot, to be honest with you. But Brown Steady ran over, was like, hey, Coleman just got hurt. And if you know, me and Coleman was like really close in Afghanistan. Like, if you saw him, you saw me. It's just, we were always together. So I ran over there and started working on him with the corpsman.
I was laying there, and Tillman comes running up and baseball slides by my leg and literally says, sorry man, I was taking a crap. And as I cared what he was doing at that time, but it was just, it's that sense of humor, and it was funny, you know. And all he was doing was just, he was doing his job, just talking to me normal, you know, trying to keep me from going into shock.
So I was sitting there, you know, you try to make the person feel better. So, you know, I was like, hey Coleman, man, don't worry, I'll catch up to you in a minute, buddy. And he's like, you don't want this, Tillman, you don't want this. So I picked him up, I got him with another Marine and the corpsman, got him back to the helicopter. That was like my first, like, really close person to get hurt like that. So I was a little dazed at the moment, you know, covered in his blood.
He stepped on an IED, he volunteered to get my rifle because it blew off me a little ways, and he took the sweeper to go get it. And you know, I wasn't there, but I know he went to go get the rifle, and he walked across that garden and then stepped on that IED that I warmed up for him.
And then that's when I went ahead, grabbed the combat metal detector, and went out into the what was now a designated minefield because of the other guy, Johnson, from the other teams also, he stepped on one, blowing himself up. I went out into this field to find Coleman's rifle. Once I got out there, it was just a trash bag. So on my way back, I stepped on my IED, which, fun fact, Coleman also stepped on my IED about 10 minutes prior to him getting blown up. Once I got blown up, all I saw was tan, and it's like every like oxygen atom in your body just wasn't there anymore. You couldn't breathe. Then I flew 10 feet away, 6 to 8 feet in the air. Apparently it left a 4-foot crater, but I landed on my back. I think my Kevlar is what paralyzed me. I only had movement in my right arm, and just lay there for a minute. Finally, I got my breath. I screamed 3 times out of the sheer pain, and then I just remembered that I didn't want that to be the last thing my Marines heard, so I stopped screaming. Eventually, Huddleston and Brownstead got to me, and if you know me, I'm just kind of a joker anyways, but so the back of my hand was hurt, and you could see the inside bones of it. So when my boys got to me and picked me up, I was like, hey guys, look, Skeletor, you know, from like 1980s He-Man. And, you know, we all giggling, we think it's funny, and then, you know, I say, hey guys, look, a lollipop. And, you know, wipe my hand on my face, blood covered, and then, man, we died laughing. And then we had this lieutenant that was with tanks attached to us, and he's sitting on the tank with his arms crossed, shaking his head, so we just laugh, flick him off, and keep going. I was going to Germany by that point. But it was something else, that's for sure.
And it was pretty crazy. I didn't know the whole time that right next to me, Tillman was laying in the next bed. Until, I mean, I knew someone else was hurt, because when I went into that trauma center, I was the only one in there besides Johnson. And I could see him across the way, but I had probably 12 people around me. all I heard was, hey, we got to get these two out of here. They're bleeding too much. I don't think they're going to make it. So I knew I was one. I just didn't know who the second guy was.
We didn't really talk, to be honest with you, about too much of what had happened, because you kind of figure that the other one knows the same thing because you're both there. It wasn't until sometime this year he actually texted me, and I didn't realize he felt bad that I got blown up and blamed himself for that. So that hurt, that hurt me, because I mean, it's not his fault, So we talked about that, and everything I sent him and told him helped him. But that was shocking to me that he felt that way. And then on this trip, we like the funny story I told you earlier about us fighting like little girls. That's something we both forgot until we started piecing our stories together, throughout the trip.
It kind of bothered me knowing that once he told me where his IED was at the base of the stairs, I know I stepped on that thing twice, and it didn't go off on me. And I think I felt worse because his IED was a little bit bigger than mine. And I think that's what kind of bothered me the most about it. I don't think I really felt like I was at fault, but I felt like I came into play a little bit. And but I know he didn't feel that way. I mean, I know he'd do it all over again, and I'd do it all over again. But to hear when he got blown up, it was definitely upsetting. Definitely a relief that no one was killed on that patrol. But I knew that if anyone's going to be able to handle something like that, it's going to be Tillman.
When I got hurt, my injury list was my right leg was from 4 inches below my knee to the ankle was a spiral break, the fibula and tibia. And then the ankle was reconstructed, the heel was shattered, and my big toe bone was broke. So if you look right here, this flap is not my leg. Okay, this is actually my back. They took what gives you that V-shaped body, they took that and then put it down there. So now I get more of like a U, you know what I mean? But I think it's there to add support, make my ankle stronger, possibly. But they took that, they put it in my hand also, which is kind of like the penguin from Batman. It's nice, soft.
So when I stepped on my IED, I lost my left leg below the knee. My knee got pretty bad, I would say shattered. I don't really know, they never really told me, but I know I had 5 screws in it at one point in time. My left femur was broken into 3 separate pieces in a spiral, so now I'm an inch shorter on that side. And I'm really thankful because I was actually supposed to be taken off at the hip, so even though I might be crooked and have back problems, I'm glad I still am a below knee amputee. But so for the leg, that was it. Can't bend. I had external pins in my left index finger and in my left pinky finger. So got a little bit of a messed up hand, not too bad. Then this was, my humerus was snapped in half, so I've got a rod going through there and lost a little bit of my bicep and, hit this artery here. And then my left eardrum was shattered, so they had to build me a new eardrum, and I took a bunch of shrapnel to the lower face and neck area. One of the funniest things, after I found out that Tillman was the guy who got blown up, and once I was pretty much disconnected from all my hoses and wound vacs and stuff like that and could get in a wheelchair, it felt like, I think 2 weeks, I'd get in my wheelchair and wheel down to his room trying to see him. But him and I were just on 2 different surgery schedules. It was like either he was in surgery or I was. I couldn't ever meet him, and every time I go there, his room was empty. So one day I go in there and I go wheeling in, and he's laying in bed watching TV. And I mean, we're all naked under these sheets. We ain't got nothing on. So I flew across the world naked in just a sheet. So he realizes that it's me, and once he sees that it's me, he's like, Coleman, he's like, dude, check it out. Whips his sheet off and says, I've got 1 nut. And just to see that cracked me up, because that IED had no effect on this dude whatsoever. I mean, I roll into this room and he is still the same Tillman that I knew the day I was blown up. And it's just, I don't know, stuff like that I find really cool, that you can be in a situation like that and that's really the first thing that you think to say to me. That's just awesome in my book.
All right, so on my first hunt ever, I'm sitting out there, and within a few minutes, it felt like, because I was super excited, so time was flying. Like 19 deer came out. I believe there was 3 to 4 bucks, but they were little baby ones and 1 spike. And so I was excited. Right now, there's 19 out there, including 2 bucks, or 2 little bucks. We're just sitting there, and I'm waiting for him because he said he was going to manage my expectations. So we were going to start with a doe, go up to a buck, and so on and so forth. So there was this doe that was, how far do you think? 50 yards? 50 yards. Shot it in the flank, and it just 10 feet in the air. It's pretty exciting. Line up that first shot, I'm getting excited, and then pow, that thing jumps 10 feet in the air and takes off. I'm like, I didn't know deers can jump 10 feet in the air like that, like just straight up. I had no clue. I knew they could jump, just not like that. But pow, then took off running. We went after it a little, and then just pure amazement at how after being shot where it was shot at and getting through shrubs and stuff that's out here, it's just good for them, you know, just good for them. After I get my first doe, after the first hunt, we bring it back to camp, and then I thought it was pretty cool that, you know, Chase just helped, you know, Coleman learn a little bit, and then Coleman was, you know, teaching me. You know, the fact that Coleman being the one that taught me was something cool for me, because, you know, he was one of my junior Marines in the Marine Corps, so it's cool. Like here, everybody's just helping everybody to get the job done. It's awesome atmosphere.
You know, he went out and he got his deer, and it was, you could tell just watching him pull up in the side-by-side, you know, he's smiling ear to ear. He's excited, you know, biggest smile I've seen. And, you know, it was nice to see him that happy.
We are eating the doe that I shot earlier this morning that is gonna be delicious. I'm pretty excited about it. First kill, and then I get to eat it with all of you guys.
And just to see him have as much fun as he did, and to see him, you know, fill some tags, you know, it was a huge, I don't know, it made me really happy. It was awesome to see that light in his face. You know, I haven't seen the guy in, you know, a really long time. So it was nice to see him and kind of reconnect. You know, me and him are both kind of the same person. We don't really, You know, we'll text each other every now and again just to see how we're doing, and that's about it. But it's amazing to me that, you know, I can go this long without, you know, I can go 6 months to a year without talking to this guy, and he shows up here at Freedom Camp, and it's like we never split up. You know, it's right back where we left off, and that's what I love about this. For my next sit, we decided we were going to go out to the oil patch, which is a setup that no one sat in yet, so it's the first time kind of getting in there. So I was really excited to see. Once I heard no one's been out there yet, you know, at that point in my mind, you never know what's going to come out. Shortly into it, a buck come out. We were watching him for a little bit and hanging out. Then something spooked him. He darted off and, you know, he took off. I look up with the binos and I see a buck walking down behind a big mesquite tree, and watching him, looking through him, but it was a different buck. It was a different one that we just seen. So let him come in a little closer, and you know, I'd say probably 15 seconds behind him walks in the first guy that we seen. That was pretty cool. Definitely the biggest one I've shot. To see Freedom Camp become what it is already is pretty cool to see. You know, it started off as an idea, just talking about it. You know, seems like just yesterday it was just an idea on paper, and now I'm here. It's pretty cool to see, especially, you know, all the hard work that's gone into it, fundraisers, you know, trying to get the word out, you know, doing whatever we can to help these veterans out, and to see it start to come to life is, you know, it just shows you that you're on the right path. I know when JD and I first started talking, our ultimate goal, and I know it's really, you know, it's going to be a tough one to fill, but I don't think it's impossible, is we would personally like to go on a hunt with every combat veteran that we were with over there. That's a dream of ours. Freedom.